This is ABC-7 at 9 on the El Paso Las Cruces CW.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on air and online at KVIA.com. I'm Stephanie Valle. We begin with the spread of Ebola. 2/3 of Americans say they are in favor of restricting travel from Ebola-affected countries in West Africa. That's according to a new poll by ABC News and the Washington Post. But the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is moving against a travel ban. In fact, the CDC director said it could actually increase the risk to Americans. Tonight, we took that information to the three candidates vying to represent El Paso in our nation's capital. Democrat Congressman Beto O'Rourke, Republican Corey Rowan, and Libertarian Jaime Perez debated this evening at Coronado High School. We were able to speak with them ahead of the debate, and we asked them what they think needs to be done to stop Ebola from spreading further within the U.S.
I think I agree with that 2/3 majority. I think putting a ban on travel right now to the United States from those countries would be a very wise thing to do.
A travel ban is not going to work because they'll lie and they'll go to another country and get in anyway.
We would kid ourselves that Ebola would not leave those countries, infect those in neighboring countries, and ultimately make its way to the United States. All resources, all efforts in containing it there, and I think part of that is ensuring that we have access to those countries.
CDC Director Tom Frieden said flights are needed for health workers and supplies to get to the region and stop the outbreak at its source. And Forbes published a study conducted out of Northeastern University in Boston predicting how air traffic affects the spread of Ebola. The study found that reducing air traffic lowers the risk of an Ebola case crossing the ocean, but it doesn't eliminate the risk. And it would also require every nation to agree to quarantine West Africa in order to keep connecting flights with other international stops from making their way to the U.S. from Africa. In the end, the study publishers found the ban merely postpones the inevitable by weeks or months and does not solve the problem. And back to the District 16 congressional debate. As Rowan, Pettis, and O'Rourke fight to represent District 16, we wanted to know tonight, why do they think they deserve the job? ABC-7's Ashley Rodriguez continues our coverage of Your Voice, Your Vote. Ashley.
A Libertarian, Republican, and Democrat tried to distinguish themselves at the Coronado High debate, but the incumbent will be tough to beat. Beto O'Rourke is a lifelong El Pasoan, former councilman, and has been working in Washington since 2012. His top priorities? Border opportunities, a commitment to veterans, and being accessible and accountable.
21 months that I've been on the job, we have been pursuing El Paso's priorities, whether that is strengthening the border so that we can create more jobs to connect the $90 billion in trade that moves through El Paso and Juarez with opportunities here in this community, or doing better for veterans who have put their lives on the line, served their country, and now need to be treated with dignity and respect.
Although O'Rourke and his supporters consider his team a success, the challengers disagree and think they can do a better job.
The congressman has not provided any alternatives in terms of responding to the economic crisis. We are imploding as a nation with incredible debt, and I've had no specific proposals.
Jaime Perez, a Libertarian, is focusing on preserving civil liberties. His top priorities? Federal spending and the deficit, the economy and taxes, and education and school choice. Corey Rowan, an Army vet, describes his top priorities as the military, job creation, and border security.
So number one, I'm a veteran, and that puts me legs up against him. I have a jobs plan where we can actually put El Pasoans back to work, and I think that's the most critical thing, putting people back to work. And then I differ with him on border issues as well. We both agree that the border is critically important for our region, but I think that his open borders stance, let's just let everybody come and go as they want, is not what El Paso needs.
The midterm election is November 4th. Ashley Rodriguez, ABC-7.
A federal appeals court has reinstated the Texas voter ID law for the November election. This latest ruling blocks last week's decision by a U.S. district judge in Corpus Christi. That judge ruled the law is unconstitutional, arguing it was similar to a poll tax designed to keep minorities from voting. The federal appeals court did not rule on the merits of the law today. It merely determined it's too late to change the rules for the upcoming election, and early voting starts on Monday. Meantime, the Texas law that closed most of the abortion facilities in Texas is now on hold, this time at the request of the U.S. Supreme Court. The High Court blocked key parts of the 2013 law today, among them a provision that applies to clinics in McAllen and El Paso. It requires doctors at the facilities to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals. That provision remains in effect elsewhere in Texas. Until the nation's highest court intervened, only abortion facilities in the Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas-Fort Worth areas remained open. This was an emergency move by the Supreme Court. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is still considering the overall constitutionality of the law. And moving on now to Stormtrack Weather. Storm Tracker Nicole Gomez is standing by with your first forecast. Nicole, it was chilly this morning.
It was very chilly this morning, Stephanie. And let's take a look at our temperatures this morning that we did see across the borderland. 46 degrees in El Paso is where we were sitting. 40 Las Cruces, only 39 in Ruidoso. 45 was the low this morning in TRC. So yes, we were off to a chilly start. 40s here on our ABC-7 Weather Net site, sponsored by Mattress Firm. And as you can see, we're currently sitting in the 60s at Nolan Richardson, the northeast side of town. 64th at Greater El Paso land built by Clint, where this morning they were sitting at a low of 48 degrees. Now our highs today, notice our temperatures did warm up. 79 degrees in El Paso, 75 Las Cruces, 76 in Deming, and 73 in TRC. So yes, we were off to a chilly start this morning. Good news is it won't be quite as cold tomorrow morning, but we'll talk about those temperatures and just how much warmer we're expecting temperatures to top out tomorrow afternoon. It's all coming up in your full forecast.
Okay, Nicole, thank you. A 71-year-old Las Cruces woman was left in a pool of blood after being slashed with a knife and clubbed over the head with a bar stool. The Doña County Sheriff's Office says her own son did it. The alleged assault happened Sunday evening on the 800 block of Fair Acres Road. The details in a court document obtained by ABC-7 are shocking. Deputies say 40-year-old William Tyson Mosley was high on spice when he tried to strangle his mother, Dolores. The victim's son-in-law, who also happens to be her neighbor, ran to the home when he heard yelling. That man told investigators he saw Tyson naked running after Dolores, throwing a knife at her head and knocking her to the ground with a bar stool. Tyson allegedly got on top of her, then wrapped his hands around her face and neck. The witness said he heard Dolores saying, "I can't breathe," and her son shouting, "Die." He says Tyson attacked him when he tried to intervene. A sheriff's office spokeswoman says Tyson was very combative.
Our deputy that responded couldn't contain Mr. Mosley, and we did have to deploy a taser to subdue him, and it only subdued him so much. So when people are under the influence of this drug, they sort of have superhuman powers that make it even harder for us to contain them and keep them safe.
ABC-7 looked into Tyson's past and found a fairly lengthy list of theft arrests with at least one jail stint. The sheriff's office charged him with attempted murder. His mother is in stable condition at UMC here in El Paso. In Syria today, Kurdish fighters in the city of Kobani say they're holding ISIS militants back for now. The city was bombarded once again by U.S.-led coalition warplanes, while Kurdish fighters try to prevent ISIS from taking over the city's border crossing into Turkey. They say if that happens, then the battle for Kobani is over. Our coverage of Your Voice, Your Vote continues later in this newscast. We'll hear from the man trying to become the first El Pasoan elected to a statewide office in Texas. Plus, students cleaning a pauper cemetery in northeast El Paso make a grisly discovery. Also,
the woman who found this dog named Lost and Found is hoping to find his owner. I'm Pilar Arias. Hear that story next.
Temperatures tomorrow morning won't be quite as chilly, but will rain return to the forecast? I'll have that answered coming up in Stormtrack Weather.
This is ABC 7 at 9 on the El Paso Las Cruces CW, where news comes first.
You're watching